Hello, my loves. Welcome to Be for Vibrant. My name is Kellyanne, and today we're going to be getting into our people pleaser card reading for March. If you got to see the February one, then you'll know that we got into some archetypes, as in like roles that we play, identities that we wear in our lives that not only have been a part of the people pleaser story that many of us are playing out in this lifetime, but also help us to understand ourselves better and understand our dynamics in relationship with other people. And that's a really important part when it comes to people pleasing because as much as we want to recover from the people pleasing conditioning that we've found ourselves in, we can't do it in isolation. We can't do it in a vacuum, separate from other people. As much as we want to isolate and be able to heal and then return and go, aha, new me, you won't know if you've made progress until you're around other people and you find out whether or not that impulse uh, to cater to other people's whims and desires is still as strong and still holds power over you. So we have some more archetypal play today, but a little bit less of like the Caroline Meese sacred archetypes that we went through last time. And this time we have the Oracle of the Goddess, which has 12 different goddesses that uh, are aligned with the 12 zodiac signs in astrology. Um, but also we have some distinctions here. These goddesses are going to speak to us about where we're at in the people-pleasing recovery process, as well as what we need to hear right now so that we can continue to recover, continue to heal, continue to uh, make our way toward the most vibrant, honest, compassionate versions of ourself that we can have access to. And there are going to be three different um, sort of delineations here. So there are going to be head cards, heart cards, and home cards. Head is going to tell us where our mind's at and tell us maybe some of the frameworks that we're working with that need to be dismantled or need to be renegotiated. Heart cards, like this ruby color that I just showed you, um, are going to tell us about our emotional state and our heart space, our heart frequency, our feelings. And then the home cards are going to show us what we need to know about our environment and the relationships that we have with other people that are either helping or hurting us in the recovery process. So let's get into it. I have already pulled cards for our head cards for everything that has to do with our mindset and our mentality. But I haven't pulled any cards for our heart or our home yet. So I'll be doing that later in the reading once we go through our head cards here. So we've got two goddesses. We have Bridget and we have Aphrodite. I believe Aphrodite is related to Taurus. And Bridget comes right after. Ooh, Aries, Taurus. Oh, what comes after Taurus? May, June. Oh, is that an air? Is that a Gemini? I think Bridget is Gemini, which would make sense. Yeah, because goddess of communication. Because Gemini is big on talking. So we have the goddess of affection and the goddess of communication here, who are telling us to think affectionately and think persuasively. So let's get into Bridget first, because we all know that she's got something to say. The quickness, logic, and timing of communications is critical now. Keep information current. Do not waste time. Do not be swayed by others. Be superficial when in the presence of ignorance. Use your words cleverly in lively debate. Ask questions until you see holes in another's argument. Then teach the correctness of your beliefs. So when we have cards like this, here's a little bit on card reading if you would like a little quick little lesson. And I am developing a course on symbology and card reading, but less so tarot and oracle card reading and more like energy reading or symbology reading. So here's like a little taste of that. When we have a card that is full of text like this, this is very much a chew the fruit and spit out the seeds kind of situation where you want to take what resonates with you and let go of the rest. Don't try to make sense of every single part of the card or every single part of the description for a card. Like if you're going into the book that is that comes with a deck of cards, don't try to make everything make sense. Just pull what makes sense to you from it and enjoy the pleasure of feeling that confirmation and that sense of clarification that you get. So with Bridget, the things that are standing out to me are keep information current, okay? When you have sort of like an idea of the patterns that have existed, that's sometimes what makes us people please, is we think we're seeing a particular pattern and we've always responded to it in a certain way. So if I'm seeing this pattern again, then that the information that I have is that this is how I need to respond. But keeping information current also means really questioning yourself about whether or not what you are seeing is based on a story that you're telling yourself about how things needed you to be, or whether or not you really need to respond and react in the same ways that you did in the past. It's also bringing past stories into the present. I thought that somebody in my life truly hated me and didn't like me and didn't want me around because we had a couple of rough months together. And once we reconnected, it was like that wasn't true at all. I mean, maybe at the time they felt that way, but the information wasn't current. So I was basing how I was acting and the stories that I was telling myself, my mindset, I was basing that off of the past, information from the past. So keep information current. And the other one that is popping up to me are two things. Do not be swayed by others, and be superficial when in the presence of ignorance. Especially if you are in the presence of ignorance, as in the presence of people who don't know that you're in recovery, or don't know how hard it is for you to say no, or don't know that people pleasing is even a thing. Like, there are some people who just don't believe in mental illness or don't believe in psychological conditioning, don't believe in all of these things. And maybe there's a little bit of narcissism there of like it helps them to distance themselves from needing to change their ways because other people are changing their ways. But there is also just this, difference and diversity that we have with the people that surround us, who even love us and who even claim to care about us, but maybe don't actually understand what it takes to make the changes that you are making. And so instead of, there's another one here of like do not waste time. Don't try to, you know, sway other people or help persuade them, but just like stay in the present. Stay with what you're trying to do, and don't let other people's version of reality sway you either, because those people who don't stay current with science or don't believe in science, for example, are the kind of people that like you shouldn't be taking certain advice from, or you shouldn't be listening to and taking seriously some of the ignorant stuff that they say. It's just common sense to ignore that kind of thing. And ignoring ignorance will preserve your knowledge. So don't let anybody else's version of reality uh, push you into a place where you feel ashamed of your version, or um yeah, I I've been feeling a little bit abnormal lately, and I can sense that some of that is fighting old programming, old people-pleasing programming that really wants to be there for people in the same way that I used to be. And those people are gonna have to fucking suck it now. They're g- they're just gonna have to deal with the current updated version of me and continue to remain ignorant if they don't have any curiosity about the changes that they've seen in me. Or maybe they didn't even notice. That's that's their perspective. And I don't need to try and work backwards or convince them. And you shouldn't either. Aphrodite's, think affectionately. Aphrodite wants us to know, love, laugh, and enjoy the moment. Enjoy all forms of creativity. Don't worry. Be charming and gay. Take a vacation from logic and worry. Believe what you are hearing. Enjoy the ecstasy that emanates from the meeting of two lovers. An existing relationship must renew this heady excitement, or it is in danger of failing. There are a couple things that stood out to me, and you are welcome to let me know in the comments what stood out to you. Run that back and just have a listen and feel if there's anything that settles your nervous system or spikes it a little bit. That's usually a good indication of like something is pulling you. The thing that spiked me actually like really settled my body and made me feel like relieved was the phrase, believe what you are hearing. There's an intuition that comes with eh, developing a sense of self when you are recovering from people pleasing. There's an intuition that starts to like speak again and starts to communicate with you about what you need to hear. And being able to hear that and also believe it is no small feat, because we have been trained and conditioned to believe other people's intuition is right, or believe other people's version of reality is the right way to go. Not only because it served our own purposes of remaining in connection with those people and feeling like we're not outsiders because we're just following along and we're low maintenance. I'm low maintenance. I'm not high maintenance at all. I have no needs. In fact, I have no desires. I have no needs. To be able to recover from that, we have to be able to get back in touch with our own needs. We have to be able to get back in touch with our own desires. And some of that comes through when we're hearing our intuition speak. Now, I say this all the fucking time, but our gut is made up of and has 2 million or so neurons. which means there's 2 million neurons worth of neurological, meaning like thinking activity that's happening in our gut. That's why when we say trust your gut, there's literal information that is passing through there, and that's trying to make its way to us, trying to make its way to our consciousness. And when we actively, you know, listen to other people, like Bridget was saying, don't do that. When we actively listen to other people over ourselves, then we might not only listen to our intuition, but we might not believe our intuition when it has something to tell us. And that is such a freaking tragedy to have all of this information at our fingertips, so to speak, that we're not actually using, that we're not believing, and we don't have faith in, and we don't trust. I think that's a big deal is being able to trust. I think there's something else here too, that's really interesting. Enjoy the ecstasy that emanates from the meeting of two lovers. An existing relationship must renew this heady excitement or it is in danger of failing. There are some of you who have romantic partnerships that have been long term or are incredibly new. And no matter where you are in that place, I think for people pleasers in recovery, not only do we need to say no more and create distance from other people so that we can start to feel our own energy again, like get out of other people's energy field and start to cultivate our own field and kind of like take up space energetically more. But also, we have people who care about us, who we care about in our lives. And as we go through the recovery process, if you are recovering from people pleasing while you are starting a new relationship, or while you are, deep in the midst of a relationship that really restores you and feels like sanctuary for you, there is also the need when you say no, you start saying no more, or you start creating more distance, or you start, you know, uh, I want to say like ending dates early because you're like, before I would have toughed it out and come home exhausted and overstimulated, but now when I'm ready to go, I say I'm ready to go. And if somebody else ain't ready to go, I call an Uber or I call a friend and they'll come pick me up. I don't care. I'm going to do what I need to do for me and for my energy because that is what people-pleasing recovery is about, is coming back to the person that you need to please the most, which is yourself. You are responsible for you, and being able to stand up for yourself doesn't just mean like stand up against the boss, but stand up even in the face of people who don't realize how much change you need to happen in order for you to get back to a place of like stasis, a place of comfort that you haven't achieved for a while. And maybe you don't even know what it looks like or feels like yet because it's been so long since you've experienced that kind of stasis. When you're with other people who care about you, who you're having to say like big no's to even more and more frequently, you gotta reconnect with them. You gotta like find time to not only, you know, negotiate new boundaries in like a one-on-one, like we're doing this on purpose kind of way. Like I discovered something new about myself. I discovered a new need of mine. I discovered a new desire of mine that it isn't being met. And now here are my new boundaries. Not only do you need like a one-on-one conversation about it to just let the people who care about you know, like, this is how I'm caring for myself. But also, it helps in the people pleasing recovery process to find that fine line between making sure somebody else is okay after you've said no, as in micromanaging the situation and trying to overly manage their feelings and emotions and their reactions. And, there's that people-pleasing version and the fine line here of I'm doing this for me, but I also care about you. So I'm going to do this for me right now, but I'm going to assure you that the connection that you feel like maybe you're missing out on because I said no or because I detached myself from this thing is going to be made up somewhere else because I love you and because I care about you. Just make sure that that fine line is I want this for me too. The fine line needs to be I'm not just doing this because somebody else is guilt tripping me or somebody else is being passive aggressive or giving me the cold shoulder now. I'm not just doing this because I'm being shunned from a group that I said no to because I said no. I'm not just I'm not just doing it because I'm reacting to someone else's reaction, but I'm doing it because I I thought about this ahead of time, and I want to ensure that my loved ones understand that me doing this for me doesn't mean that I don't care about them and that I don't want to still have that really beautiful relationship and connection with them. It's a mental flip. It's a mental sort of like, a categorization of like, I'm doing this because, and you being able to name what that because is and doing so honestly is going to help you find that fine line between doing it because it's guilt versus doing it because you care and you want to show that you still care. All right. Now we've got our heart cards and our home cards. So we've got, who's that? Lakshmi on the bottom. I am going to shuffle up and see where we are in our emotional journey for people pleasers. Oops, there's a purple one in there. That's fun. Who got left out? Heck it. All right. Heart card here. Bridget again. Ooh, this is big Gemini energy here. Bridget, goddess of communication, is saying feel changeable. Ooh, we're gonna hear from her head and her heart. I wonder if she's gonna show up in the home cards too. Ooh. Okay, here is what Bridget has to say about um our feeling energy, our emotional side, and our emotional energy. Now is not the time to know or say precisely how you feel. Uncertainty's purpose can only be learned in hindsight. Self-knowledge and growth require the confronting of confusion. The craziness you now feel will lead to needed reevaluation. Take heart and know that every seeker of wisdom often experiences the challenge of indecision. This to me, I'm taking the whole thing together. So let me read this again. Now is not the time to know or say precisely how you feel. Uncertainty's purpose can only be learned in hindsight. Self-knowledge and growth require the confronting of confusion. The craziness you now feel will lead to needed reevaluation. Take heart and know that every seeker of wisdom often experiences the challenge of indecision. I'm taking all of this because it sounds like Bridget wants us to really face the unknown And if that means that you need to watch Frozen or Frozen 2 and go into the unknown and, let the voice of the void call you of like what what is empty in your life when you're not trying to please other people, when you're not trying to meet other people's expectations. Just feeling that void, feeling that like that gap between what you used to do and what you want to be doing now, but maybe aren't sure how. This is the gap. And it makes us feel like we're doing something wrong because we don't know everything about it, or we're on the wrong path, like we're headed in the wrong direction because we can't see the end of the line. But let me frame it this way for you. If you can't see around the corner and you can't see what the results of the new way that you are acting and uh, connecting with other people is going to be, it's because you're changing. It's because it's new to you. It's because it's not a pattern yet. It's not a pattern. It's not a habit. It's not a practice. It's not a ritual yet. It's not recognizable yet. And that's because there's a version of you that you don't recognize yet who is fully capable of living a fulfilling life and having fulfilling, wonderful, warm relationships that don't require you to suspend your own needs anymore, that don't require you to shut pieces of yourself off or away anymore. There's a version of you that you either haven't met yet or you're just starting to get to know. And that part of the recovery process can feel really disorienting. The orientation, though, is something that you need to trust because while you, like I said, can't see the end and it might feel like you're caught in the undertow, you know, the what is it called? The wisdom there, the advice is always to swim parallel to the shoreline. And it's like you might not even know where the shoreline is, but you can't get caught up in doing nothing, and you can't get caught up in avoiding being around people or avoiding being around people who trigger your people pleasing. You can't avoid it because that's how you start to figure out where the shoreline is. That's how you start to develop a greater sense of orientation toward the thing that you want, not just away from or out of the situation of like confusion and discomfort that you find yourself in. It's going to be really helpful to consider that the confronting of confusion and the sitting with uh, like indecisiveness, especially not knowing how to deal with a certain conflict or how to bring something up or set a boundary in a way that is not you trying to manipulate the situation so that I'm like speaking from experience here. In my people-pleasing recovery, I've very often and still sometimes as I continue to recover, find that sometimes when I'm trying to fix a situation in a relationship and address and hold myself accountable for things that I've done to hurt others or things that other people have done that have hurt me, I will often try to manipulate the outcome, try to make it so that everybody walks away happy and satisfied and more trusting of each other. But that doesn't, that is the absence of trust from the beginning. Because if I'm trying to control how other people feel and control exactly what I say or exactly how I say it and tweak it and tweak and tweak it, then it's not the truth anymore. And that means that I'm not giving my trust to communicating with somebody or relying on the wonderful relationship that we've built over months or years or however long, that other person has been in one's life. We want to be able to get to the point where we're not trying to manage their expectations and we're not trying to manipulate the outcome anymore so that they're not mad at us. But we're also trying to get to a place where we know ourselves and we are proud of how far we've come so that when we try to convey something and we miss the mark, we don't go, I need to go back to that controlling instinct. Because people pleasing is a version of control. People pleasing is a pathway toward controlling other people and how they feel. But we need to check in with how we feel. And if we're not trusting other people with the boundaries that we have to set, then that's our own failing of of compassion and kindness and honesty. And that's our own failing of self-trust and faith in the process of sharing and being vulnerable for real, not sharing and being vulnerable for the sake of getting other people to, for the sake of persuasion or for the sake of getting people to pity us. Because I think too, pity is another thing that people pleasers use so that they can get what they want because at some point we go so long without getting what we want that we start to resent other people for not just reading our mind and giving it to us or seeing how we're people pleasing others and we're loving other people in the way that we want to be loved and the way that we want to be treated. And we think that that's enough for other people to pick up on what we actually want, but we're not actually naming what we want. We're not actually saying it explicitly out loud. And so we try to conjure pity from people who didn't get it right and haven't been loving us in the way that we've been very subtly and very discreetly trying to inception, into their minds. And we try to pull pity from them because our resentment tells us that they owe us some level of apology, some level of being sorry and apologetic for the ways that we perceive them to be fucking up and not loving us enough, loving us the way that we want to be loved. We have to be willing to uh, be honest in those situations, and we have to be willing to go into the unknown without the impulse of control, so that what we find on the other side is more information, and that's where wisdom comes from. We can't develop wisdom without more experiential knowledge. So we have to experience. And that means people getting mad or us getting mad. And that's how life goes. Even the people that you love most in the world, you will never, ever avoid upsetting the people that you love most for the rest of your life. People are going to get annoyed. People are going to get upset. People are going to get frustrated. Same with you. The people who love you are going to continue hurting you, are going to continue to stress you out. And for you to be able to accept that, you have to let go of control over how upset you get or how frustrated other people become by the boundaries that now affect them too, that were only affecting you privately, secretly in your head because, you didn't like that thing that they keep doing. But now you're making it not just a me problem and not a you problem either, but an us problem. Like, this is something that I've been going through, but can we approach this together? How can we make sure that this thing doesn't continue to hurt me? Let's see what our home cards have to say about our environment and the way that people-pleasing recovery is taking shape right now. Ooh, okay. Kind of seem like you want attention. I just got this sense that there were two here. So we've got two cards again. Hecate, who was hiding before, is back, goddess of mysteries, saying make big changes. And we've also got Artemis, goddess of discernment, saying attend to details. Now, I saw Artemis first, so I'm going to read her card first. Pursuing long-range goals does not justify ignoring the details that are essential to achieving them. Work your plan one day at a time. Take nothing for granted. Expect neither spectacular results nor perceptible changes. A warm-up period is necessary. Focus on practical matters such as health, food, exercise, hygiene, and good habits. This sounds like this needs to be like the front page of the people-pleasing Bible. Because truly, taking care of yourself, your hygiene, your health is one way to renegotiate the contract that you've signed with love, with capital L love. Because if you've been pleasing other people and that's what the capital L love has been for you, and therefore neglecting yourself, taking care of yourself is going to be the first way that you start to discern what love actually feels like in your body. And the other thing that's standing out to me is not only expect neither spectacular results nor perceptible changes, but work your plan one day at a time. A warm-up period is necessary. As in the recovery process, we have to take it one day at a time. It's kind of like, some kind of anonymous program, Alcoholics Anonymous, etc. You have to take it one day at a time. You have to take it one step at a time because there are going to be times when you backslide. I've been working on people-pleasing recovery since 2017. It is now the beginning of 2026, and I still find it hard to be honest about some things because I don't want to hurt other people's feelings, or I don't want to frame something as a change that needs to happen and make other people feel like they're not good enough and make other people feel like they're not doing enough. Because I've felt that many times over. And the last thing that I would want to do as somebody who's in recovery is make other people feel the way that I'm trying to not feel anymore. Uh, it's tough. It's tough to be in recovery and to notice when you take really big strides and how wonderful it is and how proud we can be of ourselves in being able to make some of the changes that we've been trying to make for a long time, and then to watch ourselves backslide, to watch a very specific trigger get like a button just pushed and pushed and pushed until we don't feel like we're recovering anymore. We feel like we're just responding, we're just reacting. It's lovely to see our own progress. And again, with like this message of uncertainty and mystery and not knowing everything, as well as like, what's this other one here? Keep information current. There's this work your plan one day at a time. Take nothing for granted. If you're trying to live from the past or you're trying to live from like your ideal self in the future, there you're gonna start taking for granted all of the progress that you're making now, but you're also going to start frustrating and disappointing yourself because you're not where you want to be. This all takes time. And I think if there's anything that a people pleaser watching this right now needs to hear and needs to take away from this reading, it's that it takes time. It's the worst thing that we have to hear because in this capitalist colonialist society, where we just like take and take and take and consume and consume and consume, we have this sort of like, short-term mindset and impulsivity that keeps us from being able to appreciate long-term progress. So unless you're, I don't know, writing in a journal or a notebook every day and you're like keeping track of every little bit of progress, even if it seems so minute, you're like, wow, I'm really pulling at threads here. Like I'm really I'm really just like pulling from the air. There's almost nothing there, but it's just enough that I can see the through line of pride in myself. Even if that's the only thing that you're doing is just keeping track of those little things, it's going to be worth it because it's going to build up. But if you're not doing that, then there is like a stepping back that you might need to do in your relationships, in your physical environment, so that you can see the bigger picture and then rearrange some of the furniture of your life, whether that means it's actual literal physical furniture that reminds you of you and you're not just keeping to be a people pleaser because some of the stuff that we like literally have in our bedrooms or in our homes and our apartments are things that like other people got for us and other people wanted for us or things that like somebody was throwing away and we're like, I'll just take it so that I can gang gang gang. There's an energy and a frequency to how we feel about those things. So every time we look at something, whether we realize it or not, we're having like this little tiny response to the residue of whatever intention brought it into our space. And that's an opportunity to either reset and renegotiate those intentions and the frequency there that you feel with something, or it's an opportunity for you to go, that's not for me anymore. Honestly, I don't even maybe need to replace you. I can maybe just like live without you and that's going to be something that I don't even miss. Wouldn't that be nice to just have more space for me to take up that space and start to imagine in that void, here's the void message coming up again, in that void, in that, there's nothing there anymore, we get to start to imagine what could be there, what could fill that space. And that's a really potent, powerful thing to do because not only in our physical space does that help us to recalibrate and cultivate like around us the energy that we actually want to be feeling and the emotions that we want to have toward ourselves and the emotions that we want to fill our space with when people come over and we interact with them. But also, it's not just like about our physical environment, it's about our relational environment too. So there might be people that like came into your life who had their own intentions to start with, who you had your own intentions for like, this is this kind of person and this is what this person can be in my life. And maybe things have gotten a little messy or the line has been blurred or you're taking on more than you actually accounted for at the beginning of the relationship, and that maybe you haven't accounted for in a long time. It's about that time to attend to details and discern, like Artemis said, the difference between, what is necessary and what is just an imperceptible change that you didn't notice happen that now needs to be addressed. Lastly, we have Hecate, or Hecate, some say, who is telling us make big changes. Face your fear of the unknown. Here's here's some mystery again. Here's that same uncertainty and lack of information that we were talking about in the past couple of cards. Face your fear of the unknown. Fundamental changes must take place as you progress towards the goal you desire. The process has already started, and take that process one day at a time. The present moment is your point of power. I say this all the time. I took that directly from this card, and I have been saying that over and over in pretty much all of my readings because so many people want to know the future and think that card reading is fortune telling and all of this, and it's like I don't really love to lock in on a future. I don't really love to try to convey what a future is going to be because it is not definite. It's never definite. The present is our point of power, and that's the place from which we can see patterns that might arise in the future. And like if this pattern persists, then obviously this is the future that we're going to have to deal with. But other than that, I don't know. I think the present is so much more powerful that I would rather pay attention to that. I would rather, you know, check the future and check what could be known, what might be known, against what is actually known now, so that I can change in the present and not hold on to a future that um, is up for change, is up for grabs. The future is up for grabs. And if you don't use the present as your point of power, then you don't realize how much you could change. You don't realize how much the future could bend toward your will if you aren't willing to bend right now. Use your power to change now. I could have just kept reading the card. You cannot change another, but the envy of good results often provokes change in even the most rigid. So this last part is here is there might be people in your life who don't want to change, who don't want to go with you on the journey, don't want to have anything to do with it, don't understand it, don't want to understand it, don't have any curiosity about it. I feel that way about my parents all the time, where I'm like, you guys don't really get it, do you? And you don't want to. But all of the progress that you make eventually becomes something that people start to respond to. So if you want somebody to respond to the people pleaser in recovery that you are, that you have come to know yourself to be, and you want other people to respect you the way that you feel that you deserve, then you have to use the present moment as your point of power and really step into that version of you because you never know what could happen. There's this mystery here. There's this make big changes. There's this make big changes and attend to the details. There are these two messages that are telling you that you need to zoom in and pay attention to the frequencies that are around you, because when you zoom out, you'll realize just how much they're affecting you right now. And your present moment is the point of power. So if something's affecting you right now, then it will inevitably, if you do nothing to change it now, it will inevitably affect your future in exactly the way that you think it might. That's how prediction goes. That's how future telling goes. Is if you do nothing to change it, then it's probably going to have the effect that you think it will. It's probably going to it's probably going to blow up, or it's probably going to be too much, or it's probably going to fundamental changes must take place as you progress towards the goal you desire. Face your fear of the unknown. I think that's a wonderful place to leave off. We all understand, I think intuitively, innately, inherently, we all understand inside of us that we have to be willing to face our fears in order to get and design the life that we truly desire. And to live a vibrant, fulfilling life, a lot of changes must take place. We have to gently shake our own worlds until we feel it shaking us back so that we can actually know whether or not the work that we've been putting in is giving us what we want back. So you have to be willing to not know what the results are going to be. I mean, I feel like this is the tone of this whole reading is you have to be willing to not know exactly what the results are going to be before you make these big changes and you take these steps and rearrange your furniture or rearrange your relationships. I love you, my people pleasers. If you've made it this far, then please just drop a comment in there. I would really love to know just who and how many people are really tuning into these full messages here. And it's been silent in my comments section. So let me know that you're here, even if all you say is hi or hello. I would love to hear from you because I love you so much. You are deserving of all the love you desire. And I hope after this, you have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your day.